because AI, and I guess when I say that, I think about open AI and the large language model AI, similar to Chat GPT. And then how do you use that and leverage that? I mean, it comes down to prompting effectively, and then also knowing that there is like a clear path between what you get, in the same way that in a Google search, you might get this, but there has to be that transformative piece. So we're working, I think, on the instruction side on including that as a part of the academic integrity, that if you are to use it to help support your learning, maybe for brainstorming, maybe to help you with, revision or correcting something, then there has to be that personal responsibility and that academic integrity where you acknowledge how you're using it and come up with some understanding. So it looks like Amy Walters has done that, but I know that's been a big topic in some of the leadership networks in the virtual space, and NCVPS has been a part of that. That's a great discussion question, and that could definitely be a really good topic for a future virtual schools network, AI and in the virtual space. That's a great question too, Sean. How do you get parents to complete the process? So as a supplemental school, we can't require it. We recommend that they do it, but we have a robust help desk and support. So if parents are trying to complete that process, there's guidance on our end to support them. But typically the schools that work with NCVPS will work with that individually. But that's a great question. Having the supports and having the communication proactively is a good way. And it looks like Nicole offers classroom incentives. That's a good one. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I know it ran a little early, but I also have that lunch hour time. So there might be some stomachs rumbling, ready to log off for an extended break.
Yes, we are about to go on a break for lunch. Again, thank you, Darlene, so much for joining us today, and sharing all of these resources on behalf of Virtual Schools Network. Thank you for joining us and representing North Carolina Virtual Public Schools. And yes, we've added Darlene's email into the chat. We can add that back in there again. And at this time, we encourage you to capture any final last thoughts before you break for lunch in your participant guide, any resources you want to go back and check, or anything that sparked some future conversation with your staff and team based on what was shared. We are going to return here at 1 o'clock. Where we will be having our communications and outreach workshop with Amy Walter. So if you've got any further questions, let us know. But at this time, we'll break for lunch, and we will see you back here at 1 p.m.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. For those of you in and around a computer, we have about 2 minutes left before we'll begin.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Hopefully folks are making it back to their screens after a good lunch and a walk around, a stretch, taking care of business so that you can focus on our remaining workshops this afternoon. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, Amy, so we can set up.
Okay. Welcome back. Welcome back.
All right, in the few remaining seconds we have as people are settling in for our afternoon, we are just going to be pulling up our next workshop. And I have the honor of introducing our next presenter. Thank you for coming back and joining us. Our next workshop is on a focus area that is near and dear to us here at the Friday Institute. We've been working with you all very much on communication and outreach. Similarly with NC Virtual, this has been a big topic of conversation over the year. And our facilitator today is Amy Walter. Amy is a research scholar with the Friday Institute at NC State University. She's a lifelong learner and a teacher. Amy earned her undergraduate and master's degree from Appalachian State as an NC teaching fellow. She's completed certifications in school administration and teaching exceptional AID children, and is proud to be national board certified teacher since 2001. Currently a PhD student at NCSU, teacher education and learning science program, her research is focused on secondary reading. Before joining the Friday Institute's professional learning and leading team, Amy was a classroom teacher, intervention coordinator, and instructional facilitator. Her current work focuses on increasing student engagement, breaking down educational barriers, and designing accessible learning opportunities so all students achieve at high levels. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Amy.
Hearing all that made me feel kind of sweaty. Like, I don't know about anybody else.
You do a lot and you know a lot.
Yes, and I love it. I love it. I love it. And I'm so glad that you guys are here with us today. And I'm excited to share kind of the next thing in connecting with families. If you have been with us from the start, I've talked about this in different stages kind of throughout. So let's get into it. There's me with my purple hair. And Jackie, we worked on this together. I won't introduce myself further because y'all already heard all the business. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to think of an activity or an organization that you feel like you're a part of outside of school. Drop that in the chat. Some organization or activity that you feel like you're a part of, not school, something else. We got church, we got SBA, North Carolina Interscholastic Cycling League. Tell us more about that. That's interesting. Come on, Kelly. Got something you feel. Community band. We'll have to bring back Dr. Bryant to talk to us about, middle and high school mountain biking. Love it. And maybe if it's part of your work, like within your work, like we also have communities and organizations and activities within your work that aren't necessarily your primary role. You might feel like I used to coach Heart and Soul, which was Girls on the Run for middle school girls. I felt like that was a good space for me. All right, so now you're thinking of this place, right? This organization or this activity that you feel like you are a part of. So, oh, yes, love it. What makes you feel connected to that activity or organization? What is it that makes you feel connected? Put that in the chat too.
similarities in experiences, a common faith, now y'all, you know we're tired. You do this extra stuff. Why do you do what is your connection? Core values. You share core values. Dig it? It's rewarding to you. Yes. Fills your cup. And that's what I keep saying. I'm filling my bucket. I'm filling my bucket. To meet people and play concerts with others. So, community relationships, to do an activity that you like to do. Oh, that's awesome. Something that you really enjoy. Oh, beyond faith, feeling welcomed and loved. That's awesome. All right, so keep this in mind, right? Keep these ideas in mind. All the things that we just said, they were all extremely positive, fulfilling, something that made you feel engaged, accepted, like it was important to you. We need to talk about family and school partnerships, the connection that we have with our families. If you've heard me talk before about this, you've seen this book, I told you to put in your Amazon cart. I hope you did. I hope you bought it. Again, this is Beyond the Bake Sale, The Essential Guide to Family School Partnerships. It is a great book. It has activities within it that you can use with your school, with your family. The sad thing is that, yes, it's a great book. The sad thing is it's not updated for Virtual Academy. So I think we're going to have to write the new version, right, of how we applied all of this in a virtual setting. And that's part of what I've worked on, is looking at what are the ideas that they have and how does that translate to our digital communities. So again, Kelly recommends it. I recommend it. You're not going to go wrong with this book. I want you to think for a minute. If you've been with me, you've seen this, right? Family and community partnerships. Fabulous. Benefit students, parents, and schools. I don't see a stakeholder that it doesn't benefit. And these are some things that research have shown for each of these stakeholder groups. Kids do better. They attend more, they complete outside work, they have better attitudes, they're more likely to graduate, and they're more likely to go to college. Parents have a better knowledge of how programs and schools work. Hopefully school is different than when we were in school. I joke all the time. I have a 20-year-old, but I also have a 13-year-old. And my 13-year-old's experience is different than my experience when I was in school, and is also different from my 20-year-old's experience when he was in school, because school should be evolving along with society, research, science, things that we know. So parents benefit by knowing what's going on. And then we can have greater confidence and ability to support our students. We like teachers more when we know them. When I was a beginning middle school teacher, I never wanted to talk to parents. I was like, I don't know why they want to talk to me. This stresses me out. I don't know. I just wanted to talk to the kids. It made me so anxious. And then I would see these other people and they'd be talking to parents like they were BFFs. And I was like, what is happening? Then I realized how much better that made their life, how much easier it was when you have a cordial relationship with the parents and a connection with them, that we're partners in this. And then they had a more positive view of me, right? Because I could be a real terse middle school teacher. And I needed the parents to know that I really had their children and their best interest in mind, and to support me in moving their kids forward. It also gives parents greater empowerment. School, better teacher morale. That would be great. Lots of people are very hanging on by the skin of their teeth right now. We get higher ratings of teachers by parents. More support from the families makes the teacher job easier. Our community reputations, our profession actually is elevated. If people really know what we're doing, they're going to have more respect for it. We're able to have higher expectations of our students and an increased ability to understand our families. So all of these things are benefits that we receive if we were really connecting with families. there's an article that we're going to drop in the chat. When you have time, if you've never read it, I would love for you to read it. But I want to just pull out this kind of key quote. I'll read it to you, even though I know you can read. A school striving for family involvement often leads with its mouth, identifying projects, needs, and goals, and then telling parents how they can contribute. A school striving for parent engagement, on the other hand, tends to lead with its ears, listening to what parents think, dream, and worry about. The goal of family engagement is not to serve clients, but to gain partners. Go back to that place where you feel connected, that activity or that organization. Do they call you when you're in trouble? Only. Do they only tell you what they want from you and not ask you what you need from them? Do they allow you to have a voice in what you do, how you do it, where you're moving to? Leading with the ear is really important. And I will say too, it really does fall on the school leader to lead this work. Teachers can do it, but the school leader has to be the first out the gate, willing to listen and create that climate so that we are really trying to engage and connect with our families in order to get all those results. So if you were with me before, you filled out this survey about what type of school you were to do some self-reflection. And I'm real quick, and I'm kind of reviewing 2 webinars so I can bring everybody up to the point where we're going to start today. Yes. A fortress school is a school that we protect the school. We're all about, like, it's us versus them. A come if we call school is like, we'll call you if we need you. And it's not a partnership. An open door school, parents are welcome, but it's certain parents, right? It's certain people who are kind of identified. And then a partnership school is where we're really working together. We really would like to be a partnership school. That's where we get all those benefits across the top. And we do have a survey that we are going to share with you in case you haven't done it before, that will let you know where you stand. And I caution people by saying, if you do this survey for yourself, please mark not where you want to be, but where you actually are. If you mark where you actually are, then you can make a plan to get to where you want to be. The survey has, we have a Google form that you can do, and you put in your email and it will email your results to you. That data does then also come to us because that's the way Google Forms are set up, but we don't do anything with that data. You haven't signed a research participation thing, so it's just information that you get. I do not recommend, if you're going to do this with your staff, don't use our Google link. Make your own Google form, right? Or use this paper pencil version that you can print out. It's available on the web. Now, some of you have already completed this, maybe last year. If you have completed it last year, it's time to do an updated self-assessment. If you haven't, go ahead and click that link. And it's not a lot of questions. It looks long, but I would like for you to go ahead and click that link and give yourself a quick self-assessment where your school currently is. If you're comfortable sharing your results, you can put them in the chat, but you don't have to. Oh, Julie. Jackie, can you jump in there and let people respond again? Because if they did it last year, it may not let them.
Yes, I can. I will check that box. Give me just a moment.
After you finish it, you don't have to share your results, but can you give me a thumbs up to let me know you finished it, or share your results if you're comfortable? That's up to you.
All right, go ahead and try it again if it was not allowing you to complete this form again. And let us know if you're having any troubles at all accessing its content.
Once you have completed your survey, if you can give a thumbs up in the chat, or you can let us know by telling us if you're willing to share where you are. I know some people have said that this can feel really overwhelming when you're looking at these descriptors and thinking about where you are and moving up to the next level. I think an important part of this work is it's kind of like the little Venn diagram that we saw at the beginning is what can you control and what's really important. And we can move sections of this up to the next step, or we can work on moving a whole school up to the next step. I like looking at the sections because that feels a little more manageable. And so in my presentations, I love that we've been together for over a year now because we're able to take those steps. When I do this work, usually with a school, I come back multiple times and we're able to do that. When we take this on the road, sometimes I only get to see people one time. So we generally start with this, like, where are you? And then let's think about what can we do next. The book provides some really good strategies for what we can do next so that we're able to get to these benefits that we're looking for, no matter where you start. If you start as a fortress school, improving something will help get you some of these benefits. If you're we call school, moving up one level will help you get some of these benefits. But another really important thing is we have to have core beliefs that support the work. So these are the core beliefs the researchers have identified as the most important for moving forward the family-school partnership in order to get those benefits. One, all parents have dreams for their children and want the best for them. Got to believe that, right? And I think we do. I think we do. All parents have the capacity to support their children's learning. Now, we certainly learned during COVID, all parents are not teachers, even though some of them thought they were, and you might still have some parents who think that. That's not what this core belief says. It's that they have the capacity to support their children's learning. It may look different with different families. You may have parents who sit down and read out loud with their kids every night. You may have parents who are supporting their child's learning by putting a roof over their head and food in their belly. That is still supporting their learning. And I don't want us to be judgy about how parents are supporting their children's learning, but if we look at A, they all have dreams for their children and want the best for them, and B, they all have capacity to support learning. C, parents and school staff should be equal partners. That is hard sometimes when we feel like parents are telling us what to do. And you know, are you a teacher? Did you go to school to be a teacher? Like, I'm being really real, y'all. Like, I know it's hard sometimes, right? But if we again go to A, parents have dreams for their children and want the best for them. Sometimes in our partnership with them, we're going to have some hard conversations and some difficult conversations. And then we get to D, which is what I kind of hinted at before. The responsibility for building partnerships between school and home rests primarily with the school staff, especially school leaders. It's our turf. It's hard for families to come into our turf. So in order to really collaborate and be partners with them, we have to be extending that hand. Make sense? Are you down with the 4 core beliefs? If you're not, then we should just log off and no, I'm just kidding. We're going to keep going. Those are core beliefs. There are activities in the book if you need to work through these core beliefs with your staff. I've worked with staffs before where we have to work on these things. Like, how do we develop these beliefs within ourselves? Especially when people have had difficult situations. Sometimes it can be hard. I'm going to zoom in today on one of the 5 areas that are outlined in the survey, and it is linking to learning. Seems like it should be one of the easiest ones, because what are we doing? We're doing school, right? Everything's about what we're learning, what we're teaching the kids. But it's actually a little harder if we're not focused on it. So there are 3 big points when we're talking about linking to learning. One is research supports families of students from preschool all the way through high school are eager to know what and how their students are learning. People want to know that. B, family engagement in student learning positively impacts student achievement, student attendance, and prolongs educational involvement. That was some of those benefits that we saw, but it's specifically the family engagement in student learning that promotes those benefits. And then the more a program is expressly designed to improve student achievement, the more impact it will have. That seems like it would make sense, right? If we're really looking at improving our students' achievement, improving their learning, and we're aligning that, it's going to have more impact. The question is, are we actually aligning it? But let's go through these 3 things. Okay. So the first, research supports families of students from preschool to high school are eager to know what and how their students are learning. I'm going to make Jackie read aloud. Jackie, read this aloud for me, please.
In the ICU, the EKG and the EEG monitors provided data on patients' cardiac and neurological conditions. Our RNs collaborate closely with the MDs and the NPs to ensure accurate treatment. The hospital's EMR system streamlines records with PHI. The team follows strict PPE protocols to mitigate spread of infections and maintain a high standard of patient safety.
That's some good information. How you guys feel when you hear that, when you read that? Why do you shrug your shoulders, Jackie? Come on, you read it. You were the reader.
I know about half of those acronyms. That's about it.
Well, you need to know them all, right? What do other people notice when they read this? Or what does it make you think of, or how does it make you feel? Mhm, mhm. I sort of understand what it's talking about. Like I know some of these terms, but I don't know all of them. And I was actually talking to a friend of mine who's a nurse, and I read it to her and she was like, "Oh yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, that's very simple." And I was like, it's not simple to me, right? It seems like a foreign language. So let's think about our acronyms that we use all the time because we're in a hurry, right? Oh, Sean, and that feels terrible, right? Like if we're intentionally coding things so that not everybody can understand what we're talking about, that feels bad. So I want us to think about, everybody wants to know, yes, everybody wants to know what's going on with their kids, how they're learning. So what acronyms or terms must parents know? And I used acronyms to make a point, right? There are terms as well. But what terms or acronyms must parents know to discuss their students' schooling and school? Like, what do you feel like is an essential? You can either come off mute and tell us or drop it in the chat. Okay, EOG, EOC, IEP. I'm amazed at the number of parents that I talk to and they don't know. They're like IEP 504. I don't know what the difference is. I don't know what my kid has. MTSS. Do parents have to know what MTSS means? Like, should we say MTSS and expect all of our parents to know what that means? I'm challenging you a little bit. Sean says they shouldn't have to know any acronyms. I mean, is there any of these? We've got three in the chat that people say parents they have to know this. They have to know EOG, EOC, they have to know IEP, they have to know MTSS. Can we get consensus across the people here? Do you agree that they have to know these three things? Kelly says they don't have to know what MTSS stands for. They need to know what it is. Absolutely. But I know that I have been guilty of using my shorthand communication that works between educators with families, and it is a restrainer. It is a way to make them feel like they don't understand, whether intentional or not intentional. We got to prioritize our impact over our intention. Y'all know that that's like my motto, right? So if we're using acronyms, we're saying, you don't know, you don't understand, you're not a part of this. Absolutely. We have to mitigate the problems that come from other institutions, right, to our families. So let's think about what acronyms or words can we stop using as barriers to connect with families? Like if we think right now, like what are the acronyms or words that we could immediately stop using with families? Like it's just unnecessary. Are there any we can just drop?
What I'm struggling with, and I don't know if anybody else is, in some cases we have to use the acronym even with a parent. So if we're having a 504 meeting, we're going to call it a 504 meeting. But I'm thinking from a standpoint of the acronym may still be there, but it is the onus on us to educate parents about what it is, what the process is, or why they're even there for a 504 meeting. What does that mean? What does an IEP meeting mean?
Yes. I think the onus is absolutely on us. It's our process, it's our procedure. And I would tell parents, like 504 means your child does not need specially designed instruction. Your child does not need people, but your child might need accommodations, because a 504 doesn't come with people. It comes with accommodations. And really clarifying what that meant, right? And what accommodations were and what modifications are, because they're not the same thing. I think that, like John said, are there any we really need to keep? I think, if we're operating under a law, like 504 law or IEP, like those are things that we do need to make sure that we're clear on whatever process we're following. But I don't think that expecting parents to self-educate on, like, I don't feel, if I went to the hospital and they said, you need to know what all these things mean before we help your cardiac problem, I'd be like, you have lost your mind. There's no way. I'm not going to learn all of that when I have a cardiac issue, right? I need you to do what you need to do. Right. But I want you to think beyond acronyms. What words and phrases are we using that are preventing parents from connecting with us? What are the things that we say that cut our ability to communicate? Or reverse it. What are ways that we enable two-way communication with our families?
I'm thinking about, all the IEP meetings I have been in, that I sat across from a parent and I was pretty sure that the parent didn't really understand why they were there, that the parent really didn't understand what we were doing, and that because the child had had an IEP for X number of years, the team, including me, assumed that the parent knew, had the background, because, well, you signed it last year, so you must know what it is. And I think we do that, I'm just thinking from an IEP standpoint, but I think we do that a lot. We'll send home an EOG report, and there's a lot of graphs and there's a lot of charts and there's a lot of information. And it is very difficult for a parent to understand, what does that mean in terms of my child? How does that relate to my child's education? How does that relate to where my child needs to be? And I don't know if it's the acronym or the words, but the assumptions that we make about what parents know about educational terms.
Thank you so much. I know, I'll give an example in my family. My husband is not an educator. I will talk to him and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Right. And I think, oh, I know this because I'm a teacher, not because I'm a parent who's been informed. Right. And he's an educated man, he's a smart guy. But like our son, when we were doing virtual school and we were getting Math 1 scores, and I was like, well, the cut score for standard deviation is this. And so I don't know that he's really ready for Math 2. And he was like, English, can you speak English, please? We need to. Right. They will smile, nod, and never ask a lot of times. My husband feels very comfortable going, what you talking about, woman? But do our families feel that comfortable with us to say that? And do we, just like when kids come in, we don't always expect them to know the policies and procedures of the room. I tell teachers, like, you got to teach them that, right? So we have to also share that information with our families. And one way that we can do that is by making sure that they're engaged with what's going on. This is a video of a parent-teacher conference. I did not make it. I got it from Project IDEA. So, oh yeah, am I sharing my computer sound? I don't know. Let me check. But we're going to watch this, and I want you to look and see, like, what are the things that the educator does to create that family connection and link to learning, and what are the things where she might be able to improve. So you're going to do your teacher observation now, right? What are the good things that the teacher does? And then what are the things that she can improve? I got to make sure that I shared my screen so that my sound will work. Let me see. It just says, oh, advanced. I got to go to advanced, and then I got to go to video. And then I'm going to go to share sound. Optimize for video clip. Oh, share. Cancel. Oh, Jackie, I don't know what I'm doing.
You should be all right.
What are you looking at? Are you looking at my
Go
screen?
under, no, you've stopped your screen share. If you go under more, share computer sound. Otherwise, you're good to go.
Are we looking at the lady now? Hope you can hear.
Hi, Mrs. Kasuma. Come in.
Hello, Mrs. Harris.
Please sit down. So, we're here to talk about your daughter, Callie. She's doing well in class this year. I'd say she's particularly good at science.
That's good to hear. Kelly loves looking at the stars.
Yes, she enjoyed the astronomy unit we did. I am a bit concerned about her reading, though. She needs extra practice.
Oh no, is it very bad?
No, it's not that bad. But if you can read with her every night at home, that would be very helpful.
Every night? But I'm so busy in the evenings. Sometimes I have to work late.
I understand. But if you could read with her for even 10 minutes a night, I think that would help. Do you think you can do that?
If it's just 10 minutes, yes, I can manage that. Or her father can.
Great. Was there anything on Callie's report card that you were concerned about?
Oh yes. I wanted to know why her grade is so low for class participation.
Well, as you know, Mrs. Kasuma, Callie is a very smart girl. But sometimes she doesn't listen very well or pay attention in class. That's why her grade is low.
She's a very energetic child and so smart.
She sure is. But I would appreciate you talking to her about trying to focus better and listen to me when I'm speaking. I think that would help her improve her grade.
Okay, I'll speak with her about it.
Wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate it. Do you have any other questions or concerns about Callie that you'd like to talk about? We have plenty of time left.
I just want her to do well and be happy.
We want the same for her. I think with the extra reading and a little more attention paid in class, Callie will be just great.
I'm glad. Thank you very much. I don't have any more questions right now.
All right. Please call or email me if you ever want to ask anything else. Otherwise, we'll see you again in a couple of months.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you, Mrs. Harris.
Great to see you, Mrs. Kasuma. Take care.
So, how about what did you see that you felt like would be helpful for making a family connection? And what do you feel like could be improved? And make sure you tell us, this is a good thing I saw, this is an improvement. So we're not having to assume your analysis. The teacher started with a compliment. That is positive. Yes. She asked a specific question. Do you have any questions about the report card? She made it clear that they have the same goals. Yeah, I don't think this is the first time that this teacher and this parent have ever talked to each other. A reassuring, positive tone throughout. I know when I was a classroom teacher, sometimes I would get frustrated because I was tired and there were a lot of kids and there were a lot of things. And I just want you to do what I want you to do when I want you to do it. The world would be a better place. And I have to be careful, right? Like to make sure that I was partnering with the parent. Yes, being an active listener, stating back what the mom said to make sure she knew that she was being heard. I do think, John, you're right. It was in some ways one way. So, John, can you speak more to that? Like, where do you think that the educator could have improved? Because it was like, we would say teacher directed, right? Like she was clearly leading the conference. She had certain things. The mom was responding, not collaborating.
Yeah, that's it. The mom seemed to be put on the spot at several times during the conversation, and didn't at all seem very comfortable. It almost like this teacher was in another teacher-child relationship with this mom and not a peer relationship. She sat across from the desk from her, which is something that that sends a message. I don't know. I just thought that she had this meeting because her principal said she had to have a meeting with all the kids who were below a certain point. And yes, I had this meeting. Yep, we talked about her report card, about her paying attention. X, Y, and Z. Check. Next parent, please. I don't know.
I do. I mean, I think that there's definite valid criticism, right? Like I used to sit at a kid desk with my parent at a kid desk and the kid at the kid desk. Like we'd all be at kid desks together so we could have stuff on the table in front of us. And I do think that that is helpful. I do think that the teacher was definitely guiding the conversation. And, she was very much, and I see your comment, Leah, too, that, like she had a challenging work schedule. She was like, come on, like at least 10 minutes. Can you do 10 minutes? And I do think she could express more empathy and then still say, but this would really help your kid. Are there other ways that we could maybe get this done? Are there other ideas? Help her brainstorm. And I think that some of this we tend to guide because, we don't need to watch it again, because parents may not be prepared to ask about academics. They may not be prepared to have those conversations. They may not have the terminology, and they may not actually have the questions. Like, I will often go into my kids' middle school and be like, is Maggie being good? She's being good? Great. She's getting her work done? Great. Like those are the questions that I know to ask, right? As a parent. So think about one thing that you could do is develop a conference card for and with parents. Help them think about what kinds of questions would actually give them more of a partnership in the conversation. So let's brainstorm some. What are some questions that would help parents connect with teachers as they focus on student learning? So not what questions would the teachers ask, but if we were going to develop a conference card with parents, what are some things that we might want to be able to help parents dig into? You can unmute or drop it in the chat.
I don't know if this is what you're looking for, but whenever I have to conference with parents, I usually like to get some background information before I go into exactly what we want to address. Just because oftentimes if I can get more information about what's going on with the student, then it sort of informs the behaviors that I'm seeing or the deficits that I'm seeing. And then I don't necessarily have to address it in a bad way. We can sort of talk about those things that they've told me, and I can say, well, here are some things, some suggestions that I want to make to be able to make some changes. And so that sort of puts them at ease to where I'm not accusing. There's no there's no right or wrong. I'm just saying these are the things that I've seen and I would like to address them before they get too far. And you giving me this extra information really helps me, figure some more things out. It helps me think about ways that we can fix this. And so that's how we move forward. By getting that extra information makes it easier.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Even opening with, what do you want to share about your child? Right? What do they let them start? um, we started in the last school I was in where we would say, we recognize that you know your child better than anybody else in this room. You tell us about your child. Tell us how you feel they're doing. And then we got some questions in the chat here that can help the parent dig in, right? They don't have to ask, like if we give them a list of 10 questions, I don't know that that's going to be helpful. But if you develop it with your families, with your PTA or with a subcommittee, and then you offer these are talking points. These are things you might want to ask your teacher about. And people are putting them in the chat. What is my child currently learning in your class and how can I reinforce these lessons at home? I would love it if a parent asked me that question. What strategies do you use to motivate and engage your students in the learning and how can I incorporate similar approaches at home? And we could also ask them that in turn, right? What are the best ways to stay informed about my child's progress or any upcoming assignments? Because we keep saying like, it's on Power School, it's on Power School, it's on Power School. Then maybe letting them ask the question might be good. Do you have any recommendations for effective time management or study techniques that my child can use? Having the parents be a part of the process of creating these questions and then allowing them to pick, those can be really helpful. Now the teacher is not interviewing the parent and putting them on the spot. The parent is able to get information from the teacher that would probably be more helpful. And on granular level, then, is my child behaving and did they turn in their work, right? If the answers to both of those questions are yes, then what's the follow-up? If the answers to both those questions are no, what's the follow-up? How do we help parents dig deeper to understand what we need from them so that we are partnering with them in collaboration, and not putting the onus on them as like, you need to do this or you need to do that. So I love this, aligning the system. The more a program is expressly designed to improve student achievement, the more impact it will have. Here's another, I know I'm making y'all do a lot of thinking and putting stuff in the chat. Think of all the activities outside of a regular class that you offer students and families. So if you offer clubs, put it in the chat. If you offer face-to-face get-togethers, put it in the chat. If you offer study buddies, put it in the chat. If you offer family night out at a restaurant, put it in the chat. What are all the things that you do outside of a regular class for students and families? And it doesn't have to be you as an individual, your school. Thank you, Kelly. From what?